Okay, folks, Andrew Bultbros here. So I want to do a quick video after James did his video yesterday regarding freeing up some cap space. And guys, there's going to be money available into this next season. Everyone freaks out about cap space, and bottom line, it's really robbing Peter to pay Paul and moving dollars around. So I'm going to talk about four positions that we need to address on this team regarding cap space now that money is potentially freed up with the numbers that James came up with. But before I go into that, I want to just say awesome thanks to Nick Hardwick coming here for the Chargers. I mean, this is so cool for me to see. He's going to be running the assistant offensive line coach, right? And I think there's something to be said about this, bringing back old players, coming back to the team. It just goes to show you the type of culture that these two gentlemen are going to be trying to bring in for the Chargers. Clearly, they have a great path, a great understanding of heritage, where we come from and who we are as football teams and players and so on and so forth. So couldn't be more excited. So there's, again, four players: running back, wide receiver, edge, and linebacker. Guys, I think all need to be addressed in either free agency or the draft. I'm going to give you my opinion on all of them, existing players on the team, and maybe potential free agents we could go after. So guys, lots to talk about. Let's get into it. Bull Bros. Okay, folks, as always, like and subscribe if you do enjoy the content. I'm Andrew Bultbros. And again, I'm doing some hypotheticals here because, again, the video, if you did not watch James's video from yesterday, go watch it. He breaks down the salary cap situation, where we sit, where we can be next year. Again, we're going to be pulling some money in from future years and just really making the numbers work. So let's talk about the first position. It's running back. Now, Austin Ekeler, I don't think he's going to be here, but again, really, Jim Harbaugh's talked about trying to keep him, and he's going to want a lot of money, right? He's wanting potentially $12 million a year, which I think is completely ridiculous. We all know his best years are most likely behind him at this point. It kind of sucks because I really like Austin Ekeler. He's a great running back. There were some times, no joke, guys, he had an average speed of 13 miles an hour. Guys, that is not fast for running back, and so he's losing a step is an understatement. He's trying to get paid as much money as he possibly can. So there's a couple of guys in free agency that I think we could go after that would make a lot of sense. One of which is Saquon Barkley. Everyone's talking about him, and I think he's open to the idea of coming. A little younger than Austin Ekeler, but again, he's had some injury issues, so I'm not a huge fan of him to some degree. Now, the one guy that I do like right now, and there's a lot of other running back free agents that are on the market, so it'll be interesting to see if we do go with a free agent signing or we go with a running back in the draft. I'll talk a little bit more of that here in a second. But Gus Edwards is a guy that I really do like. And again, Gus Edwards is probably the guy that makes the most sense for me. You could probably get him fairly cheap. And I do like the fact that he is, understands the Ravens system. We're going to run a very similar offense. You know that. I know that. We're going to be pretty much Ravens West, or we're going to be, however you want to say it, right, moving forward. But again, there's a lot of running backs available. Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, Tony Pollard, DeAndre Swift. I do like DeAndre Swift as well. Derrick Henry, he's getting older, but he's still a bruiser back. Probably going to want a lot of money. I don't know if we want it. And then, of course, Austin Ekeler we discussed. So there's a lot to discuss about the running back position. Let me give you my take on it. First of all, I think we most likely let Austin Ekeler walk. Now, beyond that, that would be great because we could get some compensation picks or compensatory picks if he does well on another team. Where that leaves us is I think we should sign a veteran. I'm more in favor of Gus Edwards and then signing a running back or drafting a running back in the NFL draft this season. Again, keep in mind, the NFL draft, you need around $12 million in salary cap to cover most draft expenses on average every year, depending on how many draft picks you get. But again, I think a veteran running back, someone like a Gus Edwards, and then some rookie running back, some bruiser back that we can bring in that you can just slowly move up. We should be in really good shape. So I do think that makes a lot of sense to me. What do you guys think as far as the running back position is concerned? So let's talk about the next position. And this one is going to be pretty painful for me. Good old Mikey Williams, right? I think one way or the other, he's no longer going to be a Chargers this next season. It's really his injury issues are really the biggest reasons. I mean, he's always been hurt. He's always had problems. And it sucks because he's a great wide receiver. Now, I do think you can make it work financially for him. My brother did bring up a whole video on that. Again, he talked about it. So whether we cut him or whether we don't, I think I'm going to go with the assumption we probably will cut him or somehow maybe trade him away and go with somebody else. There's a lot that we can go after as well, guys. And so, again, as much as I like Mike Williams, the injuries have just really piled up on him quite a lot. But again, you got T. Higgins, who's available right now. T. Higgins is asking for a lot of money. Again, we are going to have money available, so he might be a 1-year contract, maybe 2, depending on the situation. But T. Higgins is going to be available. He's much younger, and we'll see. We'll see how it plays out with him. I think T. Higgins could be a good option for us. I also do think we could potentially get someone in the draft. Mike Evans is also available, which I think is a really good. I love Mike Evans. I love Mike Evans. This guy is an absolute stud. If I had to make a choice, I'd want to get him, but he's going to want top dollar, guys. And so I don't really know that he's really the guy, but man, there's just something about this guy. He's a Harbaugh guy in my mind. I just love him. So I think there's a lot to be said about that. So let's just break down the other free agent wide receiver. I'm just going to go through the next 7. Mike Evans, T. Higgins, Michael Pittman Jr., another good one, guys. Calvin Ridley, another good one as well. Gabe Davis, Marquise Brown, Odell Beckham Jr. Anyways, the list goes on. There's a lot of wide receivers available, and there's a lot of good wide receivers in the draft. So there's a lot to be said about who's going to be available. Now, let me give you my take on that. I personally think we most likely will let Mike Williams go. I do think we're probably going to draft a wide receiver. I don't know that we're going to go get one in free agency just because I do think there's some other positions that are of needs, like a center. I do think we might get a free agent center. There's a lot of free agents out there that I think could go very well. But I think the wide receiver room, you can kind of go with what we have, but draft another player, maybe get a cheap wide receiver that we like, or maybe draft 2 players in the draft as wide receivers. What are your guys' thoughts on that? Again, it's a very deep wide receiver class. There's a lot of good talent out there. So what are your thoughts on that? Again, if we're going to be a run-first team, wide receivers don't become as important moving forward. So what are your thoughts? I want to hear your thoughts on this down below. Okay, moving on to the next position. Edge rusher. Our boy, Joey Bosa. I love this dude. You know I love this guy. I got his jersey. Love him to death. But just like Mike Williams, guys, he cannot stay healthy. He cannot stay healthy. Really, just Bosa and Williams alone, if you just can get rid of those numbers right there, you're pretty much going to be in order. You'll be completely fine as far as salary cap is concerned. So it's one of those situations where you have to ask yourself this question: is he worth keeping? Now, we do have Ben Herbert. Ben Herbert might be able to get this guy in a better position, better shape. Who knows? I don't know. But my general thinking here is we're most likely going to trade him or cut him moving forward. I think a trade is probably more in order, so we could get some sort of pick. Who knows? If you could find a suitor to take some of the salary away, and maybe we get a 4th or a 5th. I mean, that's probably asking a lot, but you never really know how that plays out. But there's a couple of edge rushers that are available in free agency as well. So let me just go through a few. Josh Allen, not the quarterback, guys, not the quarterback. He's the edge rusher, right? And he's really good. He's really good. You could get him, and he's very young. Brian Burns from the Carolina Panthers is very good. Danielle Hunter from the Vikings, pretty good. Bryce Huff, New York Jets, pretty good. Chase Young, I'm going to show you right here. Chase Young. And, then you got Jonathan Greenard from the Texans. You got Jadeveon Clowney from the Ravens, right? So there's a lot of value out there, even in edge rushers as well, too. We all know Thule's our guy. I do think we're going to restructure Mac. We do have money available, but you probably can give him an extra year, maybe give him a signing bonus, restructure his monies a little bit, and get him back on the team. So, guys, we might not even need an edge rusher. Maybe pick somebody up later on in the draft, or maybe get a cheap backup veteran edge rusher, which make a lot of sense. And again, my general thoughts with edge is that, look, at the end of the day, Joey Bosa's gotten to the point where he can never stay healthy, unfortunately. I love Joey Bosa to death, but in the NFL, it stands for not for long. And unfortunately, Joey Bosa can never seem to stay healthy. He's got to be healthy on the field, and he cannot seem to do it. So I think we got to move on from him and find somebody else that would fill the need a little bit better for us than Joey Bosa at edge moving forward. So final position. Let's talk about linebacker. And I'll tell you, this one's been tough for me. Now, I'm not going to show Eric Kendricks as well, but we have our boy Kenneth Murray. Kenneth Murray is a bit of a quandary to me. Again, we all know that he was an Anthony Lynn hire. He wanted him, and he gave away the farm to go get this guy. And Look, the reality is he hasn't panned out, but I would give the argument also is that he's been in the wrong system. Brandon Staley clearly used him incorrectly. Deion Henley is really more the prototypical type of guy for Brandon Staley's system. And for whatever reason, he never saw any field time last year. Okay. Just goes to show you Brandon Staley didn't know, what the hell he was doing. So it's a bit frustrating when you look at it. And I'm frustrated because I do think this guy has a lot of talent. Now, my prediction is that he's most likely just going to be cut, and we'll try and get a compensatory pick. I don't know why that's such a hard word for me to say today, but a compensatory pick makes a lot of sense for him because I do think that he will do well in another system. I selfishly would like to see him be underneath Jesse Minter because I do think he is a good linebacker. He will do well underneath Jesse Minter. So it's been a little frustrating for me to see how poorly he's been used. And it's unfortunately not because of this young man and who he is, right? He just was used incorrectly. So let's talk about some free agents that are available moving forward right here. Levante David, a very good. He's actually the 39th ranked free agent this year. Okay. Very good linebacker. You know that, but he's getting older. And then we got this gentleman right here. He's pretty young. It's Frankie Lavu from the Carolina Panthers. He's actually the 34th ranked free agent this year. So, a lot of good depth there as well. And then we also have our boy Patrick Queen, who I think would be absolutely amazing. He's actually ranked underneath both of those gentlemen. He's ranked 45th. There's a lot of free agent linebackers out there as well. So there's a lot to be said about what we're going to do moving forward as far as the linebacker position is concerned. Now, as far as the linebacker position is concerned, what I'm going to say is I like Kenneth Murray. I would like to see him stay. I don't think he will, sadly. I also think we may even cut someone like Eric Kendricks or try and trade him away and go with somebody different and then get Deion Henley to play and move forward. Very interesting to see how this plays out moving forward. But again, I do think there's a lot of great free agent linebackers we could go get. And we can make it work very easily with even just a mid-tier linebacker in most of these situations here moving forward. But what are your thoughts as far as linebackers are concerned? Because I do think it's an interesting discussion. That's a conversation I think could be used to go a lot of different ways, because I think Jesse Minter uses linebackers a lot, but he uses them in a much more normal way than Brandon Staley did, right? And I think that's really the detriment to why Kenneth Murray struggled last season. But guys, a lot to discuss on this. What do you think? What are your thoughts on my thoughts here with these four positions moving forward? As always, Andrew Boltbros. See you guys in the next one.